tuned into InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, a video podcast series. Our episode starts right now. Here's your host, Dominique Vale.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, where you can check in for your dose of stigma-breaking, empowerment-filling, humor-loving life hacks and motivation tips for all of the medically adultish people in your life. I'm Dominique Vale, the founder of InvisiYouth and the host of the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, and today we're in Season 2, Episode 24. And this episode's important because it's our second in our mini-series this season for bringing us lots of guest experts in all the different types of relationships that come into our life as someone with a chronic illness or disability. We've had a mother-daughter duo on earlier this season, and today we're going to be bringing on a romantic relationship couple, which I know you're all excited to get us to have on the show. We're bringing you some real couple goals. If I could literally have relationship FOMO, these two would bring it out just from their fun on Instagram. So we're talking to Anna and Randy Kowlessar, and you guys will probably recognize them from Anna's charity, People Hope. So People Hope is a 501c3 web-based organization that provides people with chronic illness and their support networks all different types of tools, resources, spiritual connection, and community in order to combat all the types of challenges that life with a chronic illness or health struggle can bring. This is really wonderful because similar to my own chronic illness journey building InvisiYouth, Anna also uses her life journey of living with a chronic illness to bring together People Hope and really push that passion and fire throughout all of the work that they do, whether it's providing mental, social, emotional, and spiritual support for all of their young people and support networks, but really using her tools as the founder and executive director to provide so many wonderful available options for you guys to empower yourselves and grow individually with all types of health struggle. And her husband Randy just has also a very cool job as well. I have to say that he is a small business advocate for his company, Hello Randy, which is where businesses can use support and help sharpen their tools, marketing strategy, their visual on web graphics as well, in order to heighten and raise their levels of their small businesses, which is wonderful. Sort of side note, I would put Randy's Hello Randy as one of my top 10 favorite websites of the last 5 years since I've had InvisiYouth, so just check it out just to see how pretty it is also, just as a side note. And also, Hello Randy's a proud partner for People Hope, which if you need to love this couple more, it's their spouse support goals that the two of them are with one another. Something I really love about Anna and Randy is how the two of them really emulate so much of what is within People's Hope mission, really trying to encourage that self-growth and belief and empowerment within one another, supporting each other, and then also their greater support network. And what is part of that is what they call the People Hope Tribe, which is their global community. You can sort of build yourself in through this virtual network that we all get to connect with one another. And also they get to provide a free monthly program called Focus Fix, which supports chronic illness warriors to have tools to dive deeply into their own self-growth and cultivate sort of a vibrant life for themselves and that life journey with chronic illness. So it's actually on my to-do list for October to sign myself up for Focus Fix. So you all should do it as well.
Let's go. I love it.
Oh, you can hear them already. So hello to Anna and Randy, guys. Hi, how are you?
Hi, we're doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to have you both on the show and to get our whole audience to get to know the two of you better, get to know People Hope better, get to know Hello Randy better, besides me just saying hello to Randy as well.
Well,
thanks for having us. Yeah.
We're very excited to be here. This is a lot of fun, and it's not every day that we get to hang out on camera, so
that's true.
What a good time. We're ready. We're here for it. And also, side note, I'm pumped you're going to be joining the Focus Fix. You're going to love it.
It is. It was on my October to-do list. It's right there in the middle. I have it like towards the middle of my to-do list. It was like sign up for Focus Fix. So
yeah.
Gonna...
Welcome in advance. You're going to love it.
Thank you. I'm excited. So getting to know myself a lot, you guys want to always get to know our guests a little bit better. So I want all of you to get to know Anna and Randy, and we're going to do that in our segment, Illest Superlatives.
Illest superlatives, InvisiYouth.
with Illa Superlatives, it's like all of our high school yearbooks where we got to be named best dressed, most likely to succeed, but we're pulling that in with the chronic illness community and talking about what would be our accolades for our life journey. And especially since we have a couple on the show, I'm going to let Anna and Randy give themselves accolades to one another, what they would give to each other as sort of their high school yearbook superlatives. So, Anna, you're going to start off first. What is most likely to be Randy's guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, okay. I would say it would definitely be something with wilderness and survival, like people stranded in wilderness situations and just watching them having to like fashion, I don't know, like shelters, and somehow they can't seem to fashion themselves shoes, but they can fashion themselves shelter. That's his jam. That would be 100% him.
I'm totally a city boy, but I guess I'm very like primitive in my heart, I guess.
It's not for me, but it's fine. It's fine.
Vicariously doing Survivor mentally by watching the show, but just not dropping yourself on the island.
Really thriving on my couch.
Randy, what would be Anna's best chef dish if she had to prepare her best chef dish? What would it be? Oh my God, we're laughing, so I feel like we're going to have a funny answer.
What would it be, Randy?
Well, I'll give the caveat. In our relationship, I'm actually the cook.
Yeah.
So I cook all the meals.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. I love to cook. I grew up cooking. It's like super important to me.
He's a great cook.
Thank you. But
I'm not.
I think if Anna took a stab, she makes a great apple crisp. And I'm just saying that.
That's really nice,
it's fall.
actually.
It's fall. It's very timely.
That's true. I make a mean apple crisp.
But she makes a really, really good and healthy and pretty guilt-free apple crisp.
That's true. And very kind of him.
Very, very good.
We had a memorable moment early in our marriage where I made him lime salmon. No recipe. I just kind of like whipped a little something up, and I haven't really cooked much since. It was memorable.
Oh, no. It was memorable.
It was like, at least in that moment though, it's like we both were suffering eating the salmon. And we didn't even make it all the way through. It's like, it's so hard to even try to be polite when it's just like,
it was bad.
It's like poison, you know?
It was bad.
Oh my God, it's trying to be polite, but you're like, oh God, I cannot eat any more of this.
Exactly.
It was truly awful. Yeah.
It was.
Oh my God. Anna, what would most likely be Randy's life motto if you had to give him one?
Let's go to Dairy Queen, probably.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but seriously, he loves Dairy Queen. Okay, no, a more serious one would be leave people better than you find them. That's definitely how he approaches life, how he approaches his relationships, his friendships, how he approaches our marriage. But
when
also,
I'm not eating ice cream,
Dairy
apparently.
That's his life motto while he's at Dairy Queen. There we go.
Yes.
Exactly.
Randy, what would Anna's favorite style trend most likely be?
Oh man, the one that comes to mind right away is just like, well, beige, comfy, oversized sweaters. That's like her.
So true.
There's no shortage of beige sweaters in her closet.
I love a cream sweater.
Oh, I'm sorry, cream. Cream.
Not beige, it's cream. It's like
cream.
a scooch lighter than
It's
beige.
like she'll come home from being at the mall or somewhere.
Yeah.
And she's like, look at this sweater. I'm like, is that literally the same one that you have in the closet
And
right
it's
now?
not. That's the best part. You know how when you love something, you just like buy it kind of over and over? It's great for me.
Keep buying the same thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, then we could swap closets because the amount of oversized sweaters I have is probably going to mimic yours. So
Great.
That's awesome.
there we go. This is kind of for the both of you. So what would most likely make the two of you most competitive?
I mean,
What do you think?
could be anything. We're pretty competitive with each other in just like a fun, goofy way. It could be anything. We could get competitive about just about anything. But we tend to get real competitive playing Connect 4
Oh man.
of all
Yeah.
games. You're asking yourself, could that be the childhood game Connect 4? You're right. That's what I'm talking about. We get very, and we play it to this day, and we get very
super competitive. We keep score. We have like a running tally
Oh, yeah.
of tournament wins.
It's very serious.
Sometimes we hedge bets on it. Best $7 we ever spent.
Wait, who running tally? Who is the champion of Connect 4 so far?
Who is it?
It's Anna.
Oh, it is. Anna's like, come on, Randy, tell me who it is.
Me for now, but we'll see.
And I hate losing.
Oh, story of my life.
Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, it's torture. Connect 4, torture.
And then Anna, what would be the best DM you've gotten for People Hope so far?
Oh, I get the best DMs from people. I get the best emails. Man, I get some really fun ones and some really kind of goofy ones too. But I think my favorite DMs to get are always the ones where somebody is willing to share just a snippet of their story. And they share with me that they were about this close to giving up on their dreams, giving up on a relationship, giving up on this idea that they still get to have a beautiful, purposeful life. And they jumped in, they got plugged into our community, they got plugged into what we're doing, they joined the Focus Sticks, and they started really going through some of the tools that we provide. And they're back in, they're all in, they're growing, they're more fulfilled, they're living with intention, they're rediscovering the purpose that's been within them all along. Those are my favorite ones, because we've all been there. We've all been in those situations where it's like, oh man, I feel like I can't go on, and then to have that experience and to hear that from somebody is just, that's my favorite. That's like, if I get one of those, day made, I'm great. I'm golden. Those are my faves.
I love that. Gratitude emails are always my favorite. When you putting all the hard work behind everything you do, it's wonderful to get the return of seeing that your things that work out well for other people to get to use them.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we do what we do, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, kind of going off of that, I totally had a brain fog. I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm trying to switch and segue without it being awkward. So that failed. So naturally, we're going to segue now into our next segment. It's one of our newer segments for season 2. We're going to do Top Search with Anna and Randy.
Top Search. You got the Top Search.
With Top Search, we always say that people like to Google when it comes to chronic illness and disability. Sometimes that can lead to good answers, sometimes not so much. But Google likes to autofill. They like to use their Top Search on their feed to tell you what are some great tips for your chronic illness and disability. So naturally, we were going to bring our guest experts of Anna and Randy in and have them show their top search, what would be their autofill answers, their top searched questions when it comes to relationships and chronic illness. So kind of going for the both of you at the start, what would be like the most autofilled answers to questions that you get? What are the most autofill questions you guys get about your relationship?
Yeah, I would say Anna gets a lot more questions just because naturally her community, but
I think the biggest one that I get by far is people asking if I felt like it was unfair to date living with a chronic illness, if I felt like I had too much baggage, if I felt like how I if I felt that way and how I got over that, because clearly I did get over it. And I think we get that question because it's something that everybody's walking through, everybody's dealing with and wrestling with, but not a lot of people are talking about it. So that's the one that we seem to get more often than anything else.
Yeah, and even kind of going that, what would be sort of your autofill answer if somebody said my outlook to a successful partnership or relationship as a person with a chronic illness? Sort of what would be your autofill tips on that?
For me, as the chronically ill partner?
Yes. I
would say, for me, I see relationship success as if I can come into the relationship, into the marriage wholeheartedly. I'm a firm believer that we can have broken bodies, we can have bodies that have issues and challenges and obstacles we have to overcome, but we can come into relationships with whole hearts, wholeheartedly, hearts that know who they are. We're not coming into the relationship looking for the other person to complete us or somehow make us who we are or fix the problems that we're having, but coming into the relationship wholeheartedly. I also think, though, and this is kind of regardless of whether or not it's a relationship with a chronic illness or not, I think a relationship that is growing and intentional is one that is successful.
Oh, I like that.
That's big to us.
Totally.
Yeah, and that kind of, even then switching over on Randy's end as well, what would be your sort of autofill answer if someone asked you as the quote unquote the healthy partner in that way? What would be your outlook to your successful relationship would be?
Yeah, I think a successful relationship being, if you could call it 50-50 or half and half, you know, like healthy and with an illness. Key metrics to a good relationship are just, I mean, for us, it's just communication, right? So like as long as there's great communication, there's a successful relationship looks like that to me.
Yeah.
But I think a big one for us is just knowing that you can be in a relationship with someone who's not in the same, you know, health category as you and still have a really like awesome, full, fun, like thriving relationship. Like I feel like that's really kind of core to our belief in our relationship is that yeah, you can still have an awesome relationship. It's not like you're losing out or missing out, or there's no like hardcore FOMO with, you know, our relationship. I don't feel.
Yeah, we're not missing out on something.
No, and I like that you both kind of touched on it as well as sort of growing individually as partners, but then allowing yourself to continuously grow in the relationship as it evolves is a really strong tip for people that you can always evolve even with a partner throughout your life too.
Yes, absolutely. That's huge.
And what would be sort of your top searched questions you would suggest somebody asking when they're either in a relationship or they're dating when it comes to someone having a chronic illness or disability?
Okay, I think it's really personal.
Yeah.
I think it's really personal. I don't think that there are kind of a set standard of questions that you should make sure that you ask. I think maybe more so it's just communicating, hey, I do want to know all the different parts of your life that are significant to you. And I see that this is a part of your life that is significant. I want to know more. I want to know more when you're ready to tell me. And also just asking, how can I be the best partner I can be to you during this season? Because even that changes from time to time. There have been seasons when what I really needed from Randy was for somebody to like really like help me, serve me in really practical ways, like preparing food when I was just too weak, and weird food, right? Sometimes we have like weird dietary stuff. There was a season where that is what I needed. Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I was not able, and I needed that from him. That's how he needed to show up for me. But there are other seasons where what I really need from him is to show up and make me laugh. Yeah. So there are different seasons for different things, and just communicating, how can I be the best support to you? What do you need? That's a huge help, I think.
That's great.
Yeah, no, I like that. You kind of even touching on sort of that the changing of different season. It is where a lot of you'll always hear people and relationship experts talking about finding your own love language and how you can express that to other people. And I think that's sort of what you touched on it quite well, is knowing what you need at different points, but then also your partner knowing how you like to be served and supported as well is something that's a benefit as you work with one another and you're dating as well.
Yeah, I know it's not really what you're asking, but can I just say, too, it goes both ways.
Yes.
Just because I'm a chronically ill partner doesn't mean that I'm off the hook somehow. So it's just as important for me to be a support to him, just as a wife to a husband or as a partner to a partner, but also keeping in mind that he has specific challenges that he will face as the partner, as kind of the healthy partner to someone.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He's in a support role.
Yeah.
So how can I show up for you in this season? How can I show up to support you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So let's use this time right. Let's use this time wisely.
Therapy.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Been waiting for this conversation. So,
oh my gosh. But yeah, I think it just goes both ways.
Yeah, no, and I love that you pointed that out too, because I was even going to ask on Randy's end as well. How would you suggest for other people as that partner that is the sort of, in air quotes, healthy, able-bodied partner? How do you find ways that you could even ask Anna to help you without ever feeling like you're overstepping or not wanting to put too much pressure on her as well? What are ways that you feel would be helpful for other people that want their partner to help them out as well?
Yeah, great question. You know, it's like we all have different types of needs. So I have like just like any other person, emotional needs too. You know, we talked about love language is like a big, my number one is words of affirmation.
Yes, so, Randy, you and I.
Yeah, there we go. I think you're great, Tommy. Yeah.
Thank you. I think you're great too, Randy.
But like I need affirmation. So it's not even so much like I need anything that's too overtly demanding. But like little things, just reminders of like, I don't know, just hearing some of those words of affirmations or, you know, the gratitude or things like that help me feel seen, I guess, and appreciated as a person. And that's enough to make me just like go full bore and be totally supportive. That's like, that's all I need, you know, to keep going. So that for me, that's like a common need. It's not like I need anything over and above. And you know, like maybe you have physical needs, emotional needs, whatever. It's important to talk to your spouse about that or your partner about that. But I think being open and clear and making those notions clear without heavy expectation, right? So it's not like I need this right now. It's just like making those needs, I don't know.
Well, communication.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what you're talking about. It goes back to having healthy lines of communication. And sometimes it's more challenging. Like, you know, sometimes you try to communicate a need from either of us to the other person. And sometimes it is challenging, but really being committed to navigating those conversations all the way through from start to finish, you know, not starting a conversation, having it blow up and then being like, well, we're never talking about that again, but really being committed to, no, we're going to get through this conversation because the solution on the other side of this conversation is worth navigating and the frustration and getting to the point where I really do understand the things that he's needing and the expectations that he has.
Totally.
Yeah, and I love that you said that too, Anna, as well. It's sort of, it is that the payoff is worth it in terms of going through all those motions of feeling uncomfortable talking about topics or getting frustrated with yourself or with one another. It's that end goal, similar to a health experience of going through different types of treatments or health flare-ups or anything. That end goal is always where you're trying to strive for, and that's something to keep in focus when you're with dating someone or in a relationship in that way.
Right. Because if you have expectations and you haven't communicated them, like you're going to feel frustrated, let down, you're going to feel whatever. And that's on you. Totally on you because you're expecting the other person to read your mind. And you're right. We do that as chronically ill people all the time. Where we're like, oh, why is that person not meeting my needs in this specific way? Or why is that person not understanding that I have brain fog today? Well, maybe it's because I have an expectation that I just like haven't brought him in the loop on that one. So it goes for both of us. Like we have to communicate our expectations so that we're able to have the challenging conversations, which maybe aren't pleasant, but then we're able to really have a healthier, productive relationship on the other side of it.
Totally.
Yeah. No, and I love that. That's really something beneficial. Like you even said as well, is assuming that you're going to be communicating through osmosis is not always the best option. You can't just sort of, unless Randy's telepathic or you are, and you can just read, which is Randy's other side job of Hello Randy, his telepathy.
Don't I wish.
But you know, I really like that you said that, and I wanted to kind of on this segment, I wanted to end it kind of going to Anna's point in the beginning. Anna mentioned that it's a very personal decision of how you like to divulge your health information to someone when you're in sort of the new stages of dating. So I wanted to give sort of what would be your autofill answers, your most top advice when it comes to what are different ways somebody could divulge information about their health. What are different ways that you think that can go that would be good suggestions for other people?
I love that question. Oh, do I love that question. I get that question actually a lot from people too. So we're all walking through this. We're all trying to figure it out. Few people are actually talking about it. But just so it's been said, like everybody has to go through that process, that uncomfortable process of figuring it out and figuring out when am I going to tell my date? How am I going to tell my date? How much do I tell? Like, do the floodgates open? Do we spend a whole day talking about it? Do I just like kind of slip it in? Like, I like pizza and I have whatever and then just like move on. Like, how do we do it? Right? How do we do it? And I think the very best thing that I can say is for somebody to decide and practice ahead of time. That's huge.
Love that.
That's huge. like, you're going to feel dumb doing it, but like getting yourself in front of a mirror and trying out a few things, figuring out what is your like 1 or 2 liners that you can explain to your date, this person that you, I'm assuming, like and hardly know, and you're going to be in the pressure. You don't want to be in the heat of the moment trying to stumble over, like, how am I going to say this? Is he still going to like me? You want to have like your stuff kind of down. You've got your like 1 or 2 lines. This is how I say it. This is what is true. This is what represents what I actually have going on. But it's also something that doesn't kind of cower when I say it. So there's a difference between saying, yeah, I deal with a chronic illness, and saying, yeah, and I'm also chronically ill. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you do it in front of a mirror, you're able to really figure out what it is you're going to say, and you're able to say it in a way, like practice delivering it in a way that's reflective of the fact that you've got some good stuff going on. This is not like the most interesting thing about you, and it's not a bad thing about you either. So that's my biggest thing. And as far as when you tell your date, I think personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm a big fan of telling somebody really early on, because that's what I would want to know if I was, what are you laughing? That's what I would want to know if I was the healthy person. I'd want to know early on. Plus, you're not going to waste your time getting to know somebody for like 6 months and then you...
Surprise.
Yeah, like you don't want to spring it on them. So I'm a big fan of just telling somebody early, but maybe you don't do a deep dive.
Yeah, no, and I love how you said that too. People don't want to admit that practicing conversations is actually a little bit helpful.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh,
It
so
is.
true.
It is, and it's really, even just sort of outside of the health spectrum, it is. I know right when I started InvisiYouth, I'm pretty sure I heard this in some sort of sociology theory, or I just came up with it as a joke, but I used to always say there should be a faucet theory where you can change the pressure on how little or how much water is coming out of the faucet based on your sort of water of information, and you can change that speed or pressure, how much, like you mentioned, open the floodgates,
Right.
and you can kind of gauge the amount that you want to either drip it out, like a little IV drip, or you want to full on just open it and let it go, and figure that out where really you have control of how you move that handle and how much pressure you're releasing or adding in terms of your information you give up. But I really love that you said practice, because that is something, finding where the spaces in conversation you feel the most confident when it comes to saying your health diagnosis or journey is probably the best way, because even you saying the same thing in 2 different tones makes it very different when you say it out loud.
It does. And we all have the intention of coming in and delivering confidently. Nobody comes in hoping to deliver in a really like horrible, like shrunken way. Nobody wants to do that. But if we don't practice, and if we haven't had that experience before, when we are in the heat of the moment, and for me, like sitting across from a really cute guy, I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to be going, oh crap, I feel like this is like heavy information.
Yeah.
So practicing gives you the edge. It gives you the empowerment to, it's like muscle memory. You know how you're going to do this.
Yeah.
You don't even have to think about it. You're good to go.
Totally. And if not that, definitely a PowerPoint with 36 slides.
Yeah, also PowerPoint.
And a laser pointer.
Yeah, that's good. Hand them a binder.
Oh, binder.
Flavor. Yeah.
Color coordinated binder with the PowerPoint.
Now you're talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how Anna and Randy's first date went.
Yes, and there's a quiz. Yes.
We had a quiz. Oh my god. So I kind of wanted to switch even out of that segment before we went into our intermission, where Anna and Randy get to tell me a story. I wanted to go into something I've practiced saying quite a bit on this show. We wanted to thank all of you for listening or watching the InvisiYouth chat sessions on our YouTube channel. We highly suggest you go there, subscribe to People Hope Org on YouTube as well. Get to see their lovely faces, which is such a benefit. Or on our podcast channels, and you want to listen to Anna and Randy's voice giving way more tips than my voice to you guys, and giving us a subscribe, thumbs up, 5 stars, that over there. and also getting to provide this virtual programming for you along with our leadership programming and our events that we host. Donations always are so appreciative. It helps us keep these lights on. It helps us continue to provide to help all of you thrive in your own life journey and help you live beyond and adapt to any health struggles that you have. So we know we'll have that link below along with all of the wonderful contacts for Anna and Randy and People Hope for you to see a fellow nonprofit as well, something we love. But we wanted to thank you guys again for always being so supportive throughout the year. It means a lot to the InvisiYouth team behind the camera, quite literally, and behind myself that work with me. So we really appreciate it. And going out of that and transitioning into our intermission segment where I get to sit back, relax, and drink water, Anna and Randy are going to tell me a story in So That One Time.
So that one time.
So That One Time is our intermission segment where we get to learn from one another. We always say we learn best from telling each other stories of our life, so we built this segment to have all of our guest experts teach us things, whether it's empowering, humorous, emotionally driven, about a life story. So I'm going to sit back, kick my feet up under this desk, and let Anna and Randy tell me a story.
Well, I mean, we're talking about first dates.
Yeah.
Not sure are.
ties right into what you were just saying.
Yeah. Well, why don't you share how you came into
it? Was a
this
cold winter's
day.
eve.
I'll share from my perspective. Somehow you'll be able to tell what happened.
Yeah, I was really interested in Anna, so I asked her out and took her to dinner. And we were just getting ready. I don't know. We were just talking about, all sorts of stuff.
Wait. Back up.
Why don't you tell the story?
No. But coming in, did you know that I had a chronic illness?
I don't think so. I think I knew about, that you were involved with a thing called People Hope, but I just didn't know much about it. So.
Okay. All right. So some idea of it, not like I'm about to go on a date with a chronically ill.
Right.
Okay, cool. So I came into the date. And I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to say. I knew that I was going to tell him on the first date whether I wanted to or not, just because with my work with People Hope, it's like, why do you care about sick people? Well, because I am. So there's really no getting out of it, even if I wanted to. But I'm more like, I would tell you on the first date either way. So I knew I was going to tell him. But I also was just not in the mood to waste my time. I was just like, I'm going to tell him if that scares him off, cool. I'll move on. Thank you, next.
Thanks for dinner.
Right, to the left. Right, thank you for dinner. Yeah. Moving along. So I was like, okay, I'm going in. I'm going to have a great date. I think he's really cute. Let's do the thing. And I'm for sure going to tell him. So we get there. Take it away.
No,
see if he gets it right.
Keep going. You're doing great.
All right, so we get there. We're having great conversation. We talked for how long?
Our first date was 5 hours.
It was
so much communication.
5 hours after. Yeah, and you'll appreciate this, but I remember at one point, maybe close to 4:30, I remember standing up to go to the bathroom. And I had been so engaged in conversation and just having the best time, but I stood up and I was just everything hurt from sitting that long.
Oh, story of my life.
Right, exactly. I was like, why do I feel like a creaky chair? It was awful, but I wanted to play it cool, so I'm trying to walk normal to the bathroom. Anyways, it was a great 5-hour conversation.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, he of course asked, what do you do? Told him. I said, I started a nonprofit. I run a nonprofit that helps people who deal with all different kinds of chronic illnesses live full, intentional lives. He, of course, asks.
But why?
And I, of course, tell him, actually, it's something that I've dealt with now for a number of years. And I just wanted to see what he would say. He shut me up.
I felt like it was more, I don't feel like it was presented that well. I felt like it was more
maybe not.
It wasn't done even with concern, hey, there's something I want to tell you.
No, it for sure wasn't like that. I'm not apologetic about
she
this
was
part of my life.
Totally. And that's the best way to say it. She was just I have a chronic illness. I don't know. It wasn't that forthright, but it was essentially that. And I just listened to her for a while. And then I just looked at her and I don't know what incarnation made me say this, and who says what incarnation. But hi, I'm Raina. I'm 86 years old. Yeah. But I just looked at her and I said, I don't think you should live your life with warning labels. And the mic dropped, and I was like, thank you for that date, and I'll see you sometime in life, because there's no way you're gonna ever date me again. But
right. And what he meant by that, I mean, you should tell people what you meant by that.
What do you say? Yeah.
Well, what he really was trying to communicate through that is that you don't have to try to like scare people off by that. Totally. You don't have to live your life with
like your hand out.
Yeah, keeping people kind of at arm's distance, which of course, like life taught me that. Life teaches you that. Life teaches that to anybody with chronic illness, because we do experience relationships that let us down in really big, significant ways.
Yeah.
I was coming out of a season in that first date where just about every close friend and relationship had just disappeared. Yeah. Like I had lost everybody because they didn't know how to handle. I mean, I was 21 years old when I first got sick. And nobody at 20 or 21 years old knows how, or definitely wants to be of support to you as a 20 or 21-year-old. Like nobody knows how to stick through the tough stuff. So I had lost so many people, and I was used to keeping people at arm's distance. And I came into our relationship kind of ready to do the same, even if I didn't intend to. And him saying that to me just broke down all my walls and showed me that, yeah, I really don't have to live my life that way. I don't have to have this, wear this as like, you know, a ward off kind of a label. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to hear the person I'm dating share with me that he wasn't scared by what I had shared. I
was like on a tube, and Anna was driving the boat trying to like shake me off, and it was like barrel rolling, just like trying to hang on, because I was like so interested in her, you know?
Cute.
Yeah.
There's that wilderness TV show metaphor that we just dropped in there as well.
There you go.
Oh man.
It worked out.
It did. Apparently, it worked out quite well. So
it worked out.
Yeah. And I think that was just like, for whatever reason, there was just so much grace in that moment, and so much grace for the relationship that it just like, hearing that didn't even raise my heartbeat or raise my blood pressure at all. You know, it's just like hearing that was kind of like, cool, I have stuff too. Like I didn't look at it as like something that was a disqualification or anything like that. Also, like just, you know, I'm more used to just saying it as it is, like saying like it is. I kind of grew up in that type of culture. Anna's like family is like really, really polite, and they'll like, you know, they're honest and stuff, but they're just like a little more tiptoey. And so it's like now in our relationship, I would never talk to her like that, you know, because I just, you know, have learned otherwise.
And I've learned to be more straightforward too.
Marriage.
Yeah, it's funny how it worked out. It did really set the tone for our relationship and for our marriage in a really cool way, where, you know, him saying that just kind of set the tone that this isn't going to be something that disqualifies us from having the full, beautiful, purposeful, thriving relationship that we have today. Not a relationship that doesn't have challenges, not a relationship that doesn't come without work. It's a lot of work, but it's not bad. And it's been really cool to see how that one moment kind of just led to the domino effect of the full marriage that we have now, that we haven't allowed my sickness or any of the other challenges in our life to be holding us back.
Yeah,
so way to go is what I'm saying. Way to go.
I love that. Wait, and I also have to ask, I don't know, when did you celebrate your last anniversary? When is it?
August 19th was 2 years.
2 years, hi.
So we've been married for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been married for a hot minute.
So expert Yoda style expert skills over here. Oh yeah.
We wrote the book.
I think we're pretty experienced when it comes to like dating and chronic illness. I feel like we got a real good handle on that.
That's true.
We're gonna spend the rest of our lives figuring that one out.
I'll bring you guys on 10 years from now while we're still doing this podcast. We'll celebrate.
It'll be obsolete. It'll be awesome.
By then, it'll be literally a hologram in your office.
You'll be in New York City with me.
Yes.
Exactly.
I love that. And something that's really great that I heard that the two of you mentioned was really Randy sort of having a real, both of you actually having a real sort of game-changing mentality going into your first date and progressing it through your relationship was really sort of holding a strength and confidence in both of yourselves and your mindsets that allowed the relationship to really have a strong base moving into it, which leads into our next segment, which I really love, and I was happy to get to bring this one for Anna and Randy. It is Rebel Game Changer Status.
Rebel Game Changer Status.
Rebel Game Changer Status is our step-by-step guide. Oh, wow. Our step-by-step guide in order to become Rebel Game Changers in our daily lives. So being able to have different tips and advice from Anna and Randy about ways that you can really carve your own path and make waves in your own personal life with other people, showing the different ways that you can be game changers and change that path for yourself when it comes to the different relationships you bring into your life. So setting the tone on it, I wanted to ask, you guys touched on it a little bit, but what would you feel are the biggest sort of misconceptions of having a relationship where one or both partners has a chronic illness?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception is that you're missing out on something else, right? So that you're like not having a relationship that's operating at 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's so false. Like you can have a really rich and rewarding and fun and exciting and just adventurous relationship when one person is quote unquote healthy and the other person's ill. I just think that's such a misconception. You can totally have an amazing relationship with the challenges included. You know, it's not one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive. It's like you can have a really full and rich, rewarding relationship.
Yeah, no, I love that too. That's what I was going to even mention as well, was that sort of happiness and chronic illness are not mutually exclusive. You can interchange the both, and they can be both aspects of the relationship that allow it to flourish in different ways.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even kind of then going off of that, I know you both in the beginning of the show mentioned how communication is such a vital part of your relationship, and being able to talk openly about your chronic illness journey or ways that you can both support one another within your marriage. So I wanted to ask for what would be your game-changing advice for those more introverted people that have either a less of self-confidence when it comes to communicating about their health or their needs, or someone who is a little more introverted and not really sure how to navigate that aspect of a relationship.
All right, sis. Let's talk about confidence. I love talking about confidence. Let's talk about confidence. First of all, I am an introvert, so I am one of those people. But, and you're not saying this, but just for everyone watching, listening, having a great self-confidence does not mean that you are an extrovert. And being an introvert doesn't naturally mean that you have to have a crappy self-confidence. I think that there is a huge confidence crisis in our community as a whole, the chronically ill community. It's something that I see literally every single day.
Yes.
And it makes sense. It makes sense, right? Like we are dealing with such huge fallout because we're dealing with health challenges, but then also relational challenges, like me talking about my friends leaving. We're talking about spiritual challenges because what does this now mean about my faith?
Yeah.
My faith made sense before. My faith does not make sense in the same way now.
Yeah.
What does it mean for my mental health? There is huge fallout, and our confidence gets completely shaken. So it makes sense, and there's no shame to be wrestling with that. But I think when we start to talk about how do I boost my self-confidence, I think that is like the symptom. The core problem is understanding our identity, right? That's like the symptom, and a really confused and broken identity is what is causing that self-confidence. Confidence is our reputation with ourselves. It is how we think of ourselves. And so when we have poor self-confidence, we have a really bad reputation with ourselves. And I think the best thing to do, I mean, I could sit here and tell you, here's 18 different ways to like boost your self-confidence. But at the end of the day, if you have a really bad identity and a bad view of who you actually are, like deep down, oh, that's not going to do anything. So I think the best thing to do is to really dig into, who am I now?
Yeah.
Who am I now? Getting to know yourself all over again, because yes, things have changed, and you're going to get to know, wow, some of the things that were there before I was chronically ill are still there. Those are still like core parts of my identity. And there are going to be other things, like beautiful, amazing character things that have grown into your identity that you never had before. Things like character and resilience and perseverance and tenacity. Like, I had none of that before being chronically ill. So there are going to be good new things too. And really digging in, for me as a person of faith, if faith matters at all to you, I think digging into, who did God create me to be? Who did God create me to be? How does God see me? That has brought me refreshment in how I view my own identity. There are so many different ways to dig in. I mean, the focus fix, we talked about it. It is going to be the most practical, like step by step, to really digging into things like identity. We spent so much time this year as a global community really digging into, what is the identity stuff and why is it broken and how can we rebuild? And we've seen hundreds of people within this community start off with the most broken identity, the most shattered self-confidence, and really do the work to do that rebuilding process. And now they're starting to really understand who they are. They're starting to see their self-confidence build. I think, we're talking about this within a relationship context. The work of building your confidence is yours.
Yeah.
Never going to be somebody else's. If I had come into the relationship, and I thank God I didn't, if I had come into the relationship looking for Randy to build my self-confidence, I would probably not be married to him, because he can't do that. He can't do that. I can't do that for him. So the work is ours to do. It's hard work to do, but we're not going to be alone as we do it. And there are tools that are specifically created to help us through this process, because we're all dealing with it. It's messy. It's difficult, but dang it, it's so worthwhile to really begin to live a more confident life. We've talked a lot about living a thriving life, living a purposeful life, living a fulfilling life. That is a life with confidence. So this is a key part. It is a key part of everything we're talking about today. But I think really digging into your identity is that is step one. Base level, that's step one.
And I love that you said that being more introverted does not mean that to gain self-confidence individually, you don't have to become extroverted, which is what so many people, everyone always laughs with me that similarly, I'm very introverted and private about my own health journey, even though I do public speaking. Everyone knows at this point about it, because if you Google me, the charity comes up right away. So, and I have no personal social media, so it's literally the only thing you see about me on a Google search. So I know that's a big thing. I love that you said that too, of finding your own inner self-confidence as an introvert, as someone with a chronic illness, and then finding the avenues in which you feel confident in communicating about your health or about your needs, whether that's verbally, whether that is even writing things down and writing notes to someone you're dating or partner, or putting things in that capacity, using different mediums of media to showcase different things about chronic illness journey, and having that be a tool to start conversation. Where you find your own inner confidence is where you can then find success in relationships that you bring into your life. So that was really, I love how you mentioned that as well, sort of at the top of it, which is really an important thing a lot of people don't think about when they're thinking of building their own self-confidence.
That's true.
Yeah. And the more whole as a person you can come into a relationship, the more whole and healthy your relationship will be.
Yeah, and even kind of going off that, I know you touched on it a little bit with People Hope being such a big community focus, and becoming sort of pillars of your own health journey, but being support pillars for others around you. So I wanted to know, kind of from your work with People Hope, and even from Randy getting to work with you as well, and even in his own work life outside of it, what are things that you've gotten to learn from your work aspects of life that you've been able to then translate into benefiting your relationship?
I think a really big one for me personally is being in this amazing community of chronically ill warriors. I mean, we're talking about people, all different walks of life, from all over the world, all different beliefs. We're talking about people who have different life experiences. So it gives me the opportunity, just as somebody who gets to be part of this community, to observe and to get to know different people's relationships that are farther along than ours is. Because like I said, I mean, we've been married for a minute. So to get to actually see and get to know marriages of people who have been married for 10 years and 20 years and 30 years, and to see what's working for them, to see how they've navigated so much more of their lives with different health struggles. And their health struggles are different from mine, but getting to see that really practically encourages me. It inspires me, but it also gives me a glimpse into kind of the nitty-gritty of what's working for them. We get to be that for other people. We get to be somebody who's just a little farther along on the journey for other people.
That's true.
And it's so cool to get to do that. Like, we all need people who are just a little bit further ahead in whatever journey we're walking on, to see them and to be able to see, you know what, it is possible to have a life like that. And you're doing that for so many people too. You don't have to be married in order for somebody to look at you and go, hey, she's kind of got a couple things figured out. And if she can do it, I can do it. It's so helpful. That's why community is so important.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think the gift of community is, like, as people and as a group, when you are moving forward, I think it's an important mentality to also reach a hand back, right?
Yeah.
And like bring people with you on your journey and the ways you've grown. And I think that's so important for us to be able to share and find people that can share with us.
Yeah.
No, I love that you phrase that too, even how Randy, you phrased that as really being able to, similar to the phrasing of God gave you two hands for a reason, one to help yourself and one to help others. It is really, like you said, a benefit of bringing you getting to evolve by seeing other people at a further point in their life journey, but then also people that are behind you as well, getting to then learn from yourself, I think. And I love that you both really touched on that the power of a community really is that you get to, there's so many ways of living with a chronic illness, all types of chronic illness, or as well being healthy or able-bodied. There's so many ways that you can adapt and add things into your life that you learn from other people. So it's really always being okay, being a sponge, and always learning that it's okay to be on different timetables than others. It's okay to be at different stages in life, even if you're in the same age group, which I know working with young adults, that's a big thing for us, I would imagine. And as well, you see that too, people assuming they need to be at X or Y point in their life journey based on their age or where they're at career-wise.
Yes, you got it. I hear that all the time, and I know how it is to be single and to be so badly wanting a relationship, to be so badly wanting a support, to have your buddy, your best friend. I know that, and I so understand that, but it is not the end goal to no longer be single.
That's good.
That's not the goal. This is not a season of your life that you need to be hoping to escape somehow. Like, this is such a special season. I started People Hope when I was still single. And I don't know if I would have started it if we had been in a relationship, because our life just would have been so different. I'm so grateful that I did. And even if I would have started it once we were in a relationship or married, I always will get to look back and go, that was something that I did. Yeah. That was a dream I had. Those were steps that I took. That was bold. That was courageous. Like, you will never have a better season of your life to work on you. You'll never have a better season of your life to focus exclusively on the things that God has put in your heart for a reason than you do right now. Like, it is such a special season. I know it sounds like bull crap coming from me as somebody who's married, but I'm telling you, like, I believed it then and I believe it now.
And I can say, as a currently single person, I agree with Anna, so I can advocate for the other option.
Great. Love it.
And kind of going off of that too, I really wanted to then transition from sort of the ways that you guys have both suggested you really build your own sort of game-changing confidence as one individual going into a relationship or dating, and how you can evolve as a person and transition that into ways that you can empower yourself while dating and being in a relationship. And naturally, my favorite thing with Anna and Randy is they make me laugh, which is why they're on the show. So we're making this segment Empower with Laughter.
Empower with Laughter.
Empower with laughter, we always get to tell you guys that people say laughter is the best medicine, but how can you get that prescription for your life? Well, this segment, Empower with Laughter, is what that's all about. We're going to talk to Anna and Randy about different ways they've built empowerment individually, ways they do that within a relationship, and give those tools to all of you and naturally have some laughs along the way. So I wanted to start off kind of giving a two-parter question, one for Randy and one for Anna, and ask about different aspects of how you build your own empowerment or motivate yourself at different points in a relationship. So with Randy, I wanted to ask what helps you feel more in control or supportive to Anna when she's having a flare-up, because I know as a partner watching someone else struggle, that's such a daunting task to know you would end up facing at different points. So what's some advice or things that have helped you when you face those moments together?
I think you nailed it with the word daunting. Those moments can seem really scary and, for lack of a better term, just really out of control or out of your control, especially. And it's so hard as any person to see someone you love in pain or going through a trial. So I think the best way to prepare for that is to talk about it ahead of time. And knowing what that person needs in, that moment that may or may never happen. Just because, if Anna's having a flare or a flare-up, I mean, the last thing she's going to want to do is okay, so what I need right now is, it's like when that flare-up is happening, it's like, you're seeing any classic space movie where they're in the capsule and something starts beeping or there's a light that goes off and they're losing oxygen or something.
Are you talking about Apollo 13?
I might be talking about Apollo 13. And the commander always pulls out a manual, very calmly starts pressing buttons. That's who I want to be. I want to be in the space capsule when things are going crazy and just super calm, run the play, capsule back to Earth, as it no longer pertains to chronic illness at all, this analogy. But that to say, what I'm really trying to say is, I think just having a plan ahead of time and knowing how to react in situations to where almost habit takes over, right? So you're so well prepared for the situation that you know exactly what to do, you know exactly what to grab, you know exactly how to set that person up for more comfort in those moments, depending on what the flare-up may be. Just having those conversations ahead of time of what to expect, because I don't know, I don't know what it feels like to be in that situation or what she needs from me, and I need to know where things are in the house too, right? Just very practical stuff.
Astronaut training.
Astronaut training. I would say yes. 10 out of 10 would recommend astronaut training for chronic illness flare-ups.
Wonderful.
Commander Kowlessar, that was really great.
Thank you. Yes.
And even kind of switching over to Anna as well, what really kind of empowers you personally? Because I know it is a very daunting, sort of makes you feel quite vulnerable while you're having a flare-up, of how you can empower yourself to not let those self-doubts or thoughts of, oh, I'm burdening someone, it's too much work, I don't want to bother Randy, I can try and do it all myself. What are things that help you and empower you in those moments as an individual?
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, the same exact answer. Yeah. To have had the astronaut training ahead of time, it empowers me because it allows me to not be in the challenging position of needing to, I'm going to use your words here, but needing to burden him in that moment. It's not a burden. He already knows what I need in that moment. So he's able to meet that expectation because we've already communicated about that. He's able to fill the need. But what you're really talking about, again, is an identity thing. Yeah. You're talking about this feeling of self-confidence when I'm in a flare. My confidence is not tied to if I'm doing well or if I'm not doing well.
True.
My identity is not tied to what I'm able to do or what I'm not able to do. So whether I'm doing better than my version of normal with my health, or if I'm in the worst flare of my life, I'm not sitting there having a confidence crisis. I'm not having an identity crisis in that moment because that's not who I am. Who I am is enough. And remembering that, already having done the work to figure out what my identity is and to build my confidence on the days when I'm not in a flare, that empowers me to take a firm stance on the days when I am in a flare. Because let's be honest, when I am in a flare, it's not like I'm like unbothered, right? Like I'm not a cyborg, hello. But when I'm sitting there and I'm going
why
like,
is our relationship aside from
I don't know.
Like,
Because we're going to talk about that later. I don't know. I'm not sitting there like unbothered, but you know, as I'm sitting there in a flare and I'm going, wow, this is really a bummer, I'm able to rely on the things that I know to be true because I've already done the work. Yeah. We can't expect to do the work to grow and dig into our self-confidence and identity while we're in the heat of like one of those ER moments. You know, like the moments where we are zooming off to the ER, that is not the time to really like, what's going to empower me right now? Like you have to have done the work ahead of time for the months leading up to that so that when you get to that moment, you're like, oh, I've trained for this. Let's go. I can be Tom Hanks in my own little spaceship going boop, boop, boop. I'm good to go. We'll go.
And I like it kind of even stems off of that too, is really having that sort of inner confidence in both of your sort of in that training or practice or having that communication of what you both would need in those moments of distress. It's also knowing not to, for both of you, to both partners in a relationship, to know that you shouldn't have to apologize, which is always the sort of the lead tool is I should never have to, every time I ask for something, I don't need to say, I'm sorry, but can you do this? Or every time I'm in a moment of pain, having my boyfriend look at me and go, oh, I'm so sorry about this, because it's nothing on either end that is needed to be apologized for and needs an apology for. And having that is really an important part for both people as well.
It is. I also want to just touch on the confidence thing too, because it is important for us to build our confidence, but it's not confidence aside from humility. It's both, right? So it's being confident, but for me, as like, you know, I would call myself like a caretaker in those moments. It's having the humility to say, hey, I really don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know how to help you right now. How can I support you right now? Like, how can I help you? How can I show up for you right now? What do you need from me? Do you want me to rub your back? Do you want me to run out and grab something? Like, what do you need from me? Because like, the last thing I want to do is put on a brave face and like not be present in the moment or not be actually what she needs. So it's confidence, but it's also humility to say, hey, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, or confidence with humility for a chronically ill person is asking for help.
Totally.
Not being like, I got this, I don't need you.
I'm an independent woman.
I'm like inviting him into the spaceship and saying, would you mind helping me without apologizing like you're talking about? Absolutely, we're not apologizing.
Great point.
But knowing exactly who I am, feeling empowered, having the humility to bring him in and ask for help.
Yeah, and I love it too, even kind of going, that was going to lead to my next question, was something you both even mentioned of having, with that element of having humility, of being able to both admit when you need a bit of direction in your part of the relationship. I know you guys talk about it quite a bit, and you've mentioned it as well, that moment of having your own independent support networks outside of the support network you build for each other, but each of you individually having your own support networks, which is something really important to make your relationship stronger, is having other people to lean on. So I did want to even ask on that. I know we get so many questions about how can I go to my support network when I'm having questions or worries in my relationship or my dating journey. So kind of it's a two-part for the both of you of what are ways you could go to your own support network when you're having those moments of needing reassurance.
I think for me, it's important to be able to talk to people who are aware of my situation already. So having some of my close friends who know both myself and Anna, know the dynamic of our relationship, and being able to talk about, you know, whatever I'm feeling. Because it's not just like what's happening in the moment in terms of like me being a supportive spouse, but like there's an emotional cost to that too, right? Like, you know, am I enough for Anna in these moments? Am I the partner that she needs? Do I have what it takes? You know, like asking that quintessential question, like, do I have what it takes? And being able to have community around me, for me, that's like having really strong, good guy friends who can just remind me who I am. Like, oh, dude, you're totally built for this. This is like, you know, there's grace in your life for these moments. Just someone who can kind of pull you back to center when my mind starts racing of like those kind of emotional concerns or identity crises kind of moments. But I
would say a couple practical things are, again, going back to communication communicating and making sure that the people that we are going to be disclosing sometimes things that are personal and sensitive,
Totally.
making sure that they're safe people, safe couples
Totally.
for both of us. So if he's going to be sharing things about me, about us that feel personal to me, even if they don't feel personal to him, if they feel personal to me, then he's only going to share those things with people who are rooting for our marriage to succeed, with people who I've shared with him that like, yeah, like that's great. Like that's an awesome support network. He's not going to be sharing things, for instance, with somebody who doesn't know me, somebody who is not cheering for our relationship to succeed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do that, but we don't really realize that that's what we're
true.
doing.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to sit down with your friend Becky and start talking about your man, and you
Karen.
haven't stopped. Yeah, Karen, exactly. You haven't stopped to realize that, first of all, Karen is not the person I want to be taking advice from, because Karen does not seem to have relationships figured out, right? But we do that. We ask the Karens of our life, sorry, her name's Karen, the Karens of our life who don't have their stuff figured out, they don't have their ducks in a row, we're going to them for advice. That's not good.
Yeah.
And second, we don't want to go to people who are not going to be safe people and aren't cheering for us. So I also don't want to go and share it with my friend Karen and be, you know, talking to her, sharing, can you believe he said this? Can you believe, like, he didn't show up for me as a partner in that moment. So now I've opened up and I've shared something vulnerable about our relationship. And there's a huge difference if she's going to meet that comment with, he's the worst. You can do so much better. Well, we're married, so thanks for that, Karen, right? Or she can meet that with, wow, okay, let's talk that through. Here's some things that have worked for me. Have you thought about this? Somebody who can meet that with really intentional questions, somebody who can walk alongside you, somebody who's ultimately cheering for the relationship to succeed and win and work. I think that's huge.
Oh, get it together, Karen. Poor Karen.
Karen,
get it together.
Karen can do better. I think Karen can do better.
No, I love how you said that too, and it really is. It is a sounding board. Your support network is your own individual sounding board to vent frustrations or worries to, or get that support, but also, like you both had even mentioned, people that know the both of you individually, know your relationship and support the two of you together in your own journey, but able to meet you where you need to be and supported. Because even on my own end, a lot of my friends know I'm not very chatty about my feelings, so they just know to show up physically and are there for me if they know, which is great that I don't have to talk about all of my emotions and my feelings. It takes quite a bit to sort of dig that moment out of me, but I usually will get there closer if they just sort of show up. Let's go to coffee, or hey, let's Skype today and we can chat while we're both working from our home offices, and sort of leading in and just being a physical support of being there without having to feel like they need to talk to me or force me or make me feel like I have to talk at different points with my own sort of worries is great, because they meet me where I'm at, like you had mentioned, is really an important tool to have.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's huge.
Great.
It's really important to have a good support network. Not everybody has that. It breaks my heart every time I see that. But just because you don't have it today doesn't mean that you won't have it ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Being really intentional about who you pick is important. Don't just grab at every person that is close to you just out of desperation because you need a support network. Like, be really intentional. Pick people that are safe and supportive. That's important.
Yeah, no, I love that. And even kind of ending sort of the episode with you guys, I wanted to ask sort of a final question that you would have to sort of empower our listeners and viewers with. If you could give advice, in hindsight is always 20/20, if you could give advice to the single/dating versions of yourselves, what kind of advice would you give?
Great question.
I just grab him by the shoulders and say, listen here.
Be like, young Randy,
Past.
get it together, Randy. You need to go to astronaut school.
Exactly. You're meant to be an astronaut.
You'll need it in the future.
You'll need it in the future. You'll be in a sci-fi relationship with a cyborg.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start on a serious note. Yeah. There's so much that I would say to my younger self. I mean, I literally hate when people say, if given the chance to do life over again the exact same way, I would do everything the exact same way, you know?
No.
It's so dumb.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
Let's be honest with our lives, okay?
Karen would think that.
And I think there's a couple things. It's funny that my mind goes to this, but I would totally coach younger Randy on financial wisdom, okay?
I was going to say get rid of the chin strap.
Oh my gosh. Let's not even, let's
big old earrings.
not even go there, okay?
What?
Okay, on a funny note, probably like financial advice. Invest early and often. Great. But other advice, like I always tell people that the greatest gift that you can give your future spouse, especially if you're single, is taking the time to really learn about yourself and work on yourself and spend your single years really well.
Mm.
So asking yourself the tough questions and identifying maybe the reasons why you are the way you are is important. Just like self-discovery, you know, to know who you are, because that's such a gift to give your spouse when you come into a relationship. I will also say you do not need to wait until all your ducks are in a row to be in a relationship.
Yes.
That's a common millennial misconception. We've like withheld getting married because we're waiting to have XYZ in a row, right?
Yeah.
And it's just not necessary. Like relationships they're going to be messy. Life is messy. There is no perfection. There is no perfect way to do it or to come into a relationship, but spending your single years well, taking the time to really learn about yourself is like such a gift to yourself first and foremost, but such a gift to your spouse to know who you are and being able to, like, I don't know, just grow up. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, I totally agree. I think for anybody, but certainly those of us struggling with our health and chronic illness, like we talked about earlier, there is a lot of fallout mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, so much. There's so much. And everybody has stuff. Everybody has baggage. Working that out as much as you can before you come into the relationship. For me, that looked like sitting down with a therapist for years. And it was so worth it. And it was hard work to dig into stuff. Some of the stuff that just was like unrelated to being chronically ill, and some of it that was very much in real time as I was walking through my early years with chronic illness. But coming into the relationship more whole and more healthy as a person is never going to be a bad thing at all. I would also tell younger Anna, I would tell her that being in a relationship is not going to make you more of yourself.
Yeah.
It's just not. That is such a lie that so many of us believe. And I think I used to believe that because you hear people be like, oh, well, when I'm with him, I'm just so much more me. And I get what you're saying, because in a way I'm like, yeah, like I feel like more comfortable to be myself now that I'm with Randy. And I love that. He brings out such cool things. Being married, being in a relationship will grow new cool things in you. But dang, we've got to stop believing that we can't somehow be all of who we are now in our current season.
That's so true.
Yeah. I think there's this huge problem that I'm seeing single people start to do, and married people actually. But when you're single and you develop that mindset, you're kind of like developing a rut in a dirt road where you're like, I'm not going to be happy until that next thing. I'm not going to be happy until I meet the guy.
It's conditional.
Right. Yeah. So what happens when you meet the guy? Well, now I'm not going to be happy until he says, I love me, or I love you. I love me. I'm not going to be happy until he proposes. I'm not going to be happy until we get married. What happens now once you're married? I'm not going to be happy until I have a job, the right house, a bigger house, kids, whatever. Like, if you develop that rut in your thinking now that you can't be happy until then, I guarantee you'll never be a happy person. And I wish I could go back and tell Anna, like, you've got to unwork that stuff now and understand to be content in your season. You are exactly who you are fully now in your current season. you are not going to be more happy or more of who you are in another season. Like, learn to be content now. And that mindset will serve you and bless you for so many years to come. It'll serve and bless you in your relationship. Oh, we've got to stop trying to escape the singleness. Yikes.
That's true. Anna's alternative answer would have been, okay, Anna of the past. At the ripe age of 26, a young man will come into your life. Do not settle for him.
Don't settle. Whatever you do.
Whatever you do.
You can do better.
Learn from my ways, Anna.
Not work with Karen is what I would say.
Maybe tell Karen, no, I don't want to hang out with you is probably
right. There you go.
Hard pass on Karen.
Yeah. Yeah. Start to filter some of Karen's calls.
No, I love that. I love both of your advice as well. That is really something from those that are single or dating or in early positions of relationships. Those are both two main aspects that are really great for people to sort of take away and add into their own sort of mental wellness toolbox, or their life toolbox, if you will, to empower themselves. So I'm taking younger Andy and younger Anna's advice and whipping that into mine. So I'm gonna work with the younger versions of yourself in that parallel universe where they're at. There we go. We'll work with them. So that is the end of our episode, everyone. And before we go, and before I thank Anna and Randy a million times for being our special guests and our couple guest expert for this episode and this season, I want to make sure all of you can find Anna and Randy and peoplehope.org on all of the social media all over the web. So you two can take it away of who wants to drop their handles and People Hope handles first.
Let me go.
Sure. You're probably not going to be able to find my Instagram because it's just too long to remember. It's RB_Kowlessar. You can look at Anna's to find me. But if you want to check out my professional life, you can go to hellorandy.com and see my work and portfolio and who I work with.
Yes. Yes. For People Hope, you can find us all over, everywhere. We are at peoplehope.org. Our website, peoplehope.org. You can follow along with me personally. My maiden name was Anna King, so it just felt right. And my Instagram handle, Instagram's where I hang out. My Instagram handle is at Anna King Skywalker. So I'm basically a cool person.
Oh, high five.
And before you do that, one total side note, I really thought your married name was Skywalker, and it was the best thing ever.
Wouldn't that be great? Oh, come on.
That's so funny.
I could legally change it.
We should. I want to.
You both can.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, but also, if anybody is wanting to join the Focus Fix, now is a great time to join. We're finishing 2019 stronger than we started it, and we are doing it with over 800. I mean, we are growing leaps and bounds here. Over 800 chronically ill warriors from all over the world. So if you've had a crappy year or if you've had an amazing year, like, jump in. Let's do some growing together. Let's do the work. Let's grow. Let's live full lives. Let's finish 2019 stronger than we started it. So you can find that on peoplehope.org. It'll pop up. You'll see. You'll know what to do. They're
going to have 801 now because I have added myself to this. So you're going to have 801. So if you want to be at 802, then you can add.
It'll be a good time.
Yes.
You guys can find InvisiYouth chat sessions on our YouTube channel or on all of our audio podcast platforms. So iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all of that. And you can find InvisiYouth Charity on our social media at InvisiYouth, which is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, on our website. And you can always 5 stars, thumbs up, leave a comment as well for everything. We love to get your feedback and input. And again, I want to thank Anna and Randy, or as I coined their ship name, Andy. Thanking Andy for being our special guests on this show. And I can't wait to get to celebrate the two of you and your amazing relationship and celebrate so much of what peoplehope.org gets to do all year round. So thank you guys again for being on the show.
Thank you for having us. Yeah. It's so fun to get to hang out and talk about these huge things that we all have in common. It's
just
pretty
feels
cool.
like we're all friends.
I love it. Yes. So this won't be the last time. We are making sure InvisiYouth People Hope is happening indefinitely into 2020. We're going to make this work. And I want to then say goodbye to everyone, and we will see you again on our next episode. Bye.